Hello, folks. I'm Rob Franek. I'm editor-in-chief at the Princeton Review. You are in for a delightful conversation and just chat with Dr. Braque Talley. Dr. Talley is the author of the Princeton Review's newest book, The Ultimate Guide to HBCUs. Dr. Talley, welcome. Braque, it is good to see you, my friend. Thanks for taking the time to share your words of wisdom on HBCUs and otherwise. But if you can give a quick intro, tell the folks who you are.
Rob, thank you for this phenomenal opportunity to work on this book, on this project, but also to talk about HBCUs, a topic that I'm very passionate about. And I tell you, my love for HBCUs goes back to when I was looking for an institution to attend. When I was in high school. I finished high school, and in high school, I really didn't know where I wanted to go to college. I had received acceptances from regional institutions, large institutions, flagships, and my mom, who is an educator by trade, never by training, never attended an HBCU. Okay. And she would always say, hey, I want to make sure that you go to a Black college. I want you to go to a Black college. I want you to have a different experience than I did. Hers was great, but she wanted to go to an institution where she felt a deeper connection. And as things will happen, I had a pastor who attended Russ College, an HBCU in North Mississippi, who said, hey, let me take you to Russ and introduce you to the campus. Okay. Got there, met the president of the college, and the president said, if you come to Russ, then you're mine. He said, all of my students belong to me. I'll take care of you. And I tell you, Rob, that's one of the best decisions I've ever made. And not only was he true to his word, but I've attended HBCUs for undergraduate, my master's, and my PhD. And I've found that every institution has done exactly what Dr. David Beckley, who's the president of Russ College at the time, has done. And that's to ensure that their students are in an environment that cares about them, that supports them, and one that they can identify with. This is a community.
I totally hear you, and I so appreciate your guidance, as I know so many other folks will. That I do well, undergrad as well as 2 graduate degrees from HBCUs. The idea of finding fit in a school is something that we talk about and write about at the Princeton Review often. Every time I speak to you, I continuously hear that idea of you finding fit in an HBCU, not only undergraduate, but graduate, and your doctoral degree as well. But for those folks that might just be starting to think about the college process, can you give us definition for HBCUs? Can you dispel some myths? Are they just for Black students? And we'll look to your guidance.
Sure. Yeah. So HBCUs were institutions that were founded after 1964 to provide opportunities for those formerly enslaved Blacks here in America. Okay. Now, these institutions are historically Black, but they've never been exclusively Black. And a matter of fact, they have had not only white students, but white administrators and white presidents in many of these institutions as well. And you'll even find that some HBCUs have a very high non-Black enrollment even now. Gotcha. So I think that speaks to the academic rigor and the support that these institutions provide. And I'll tell you, Rob, that even in some cases, folks may say, well, many HBCUs aren't as widely known for their sports programs. If I'm a talented athlete, can I get the preparation that I need at an HBCU? And the answer is absolutely yes. Sure. You know, there are many professional athletes that attended HBCUs, such as Ben Wallace, who played professional basketball, and the list goes on and on. Robert Mathis, who played professional football for the Indianapolis Colts. Jerry Rice. So that list goes on and on. But it's not just about sports either, Rob. Academics. When you start looking at many of your Black professionals in this country, we start looking at teachers and educators, doctors, lawyers, and judges. Most of them have attended HBCUs. I like to tell the story that if you're, regardless of what college campus you're attending, if you're being taught by a Black professor, the chances are you're being impacted by someone who attended an HBCU. Because many of your Black professors in this country, majority of them, have attended, matriculated at HBCUs.
I love it. And just hearing you retell some of those quick facts, and I know you are not only right with facts, but I reread the introduction of your book again this morning, just in preparation for our talk. And again, it's so ripe with detail. And again, I love this idea of diffusing some of the myths that might be out there. Again, you so underscore what I think a lot of people probably know, but it's good to say it again: the superlative academic experience that many students are getting, but this idea of fit and the idea of identifying with the community and how powerful and contagious that energy is, upon graduation. So to me, this is great. One of the things, and again, the ultimate guide to HBCUs, it is a definitive work of, all of the HBCUs that exist, not only undergraduate, but graduate and doctoral programs, community colleges as well. Some of those schools have a more national presence, a national brand. Others that you've included in the book have a powerhouse regional brand that some people might not know about. So maybe you could talk us through a couple of the schools that are lesser known, but still powerful academically.
Sure, absolutely. Let me start with a school in Marshall, Texas, Wiley College.
Yeah.
Wiley College is known for their debate team and the number of students they're putting in graduate school and law school. But it's a small institution with less than 1,000 students. But they're doing phenomenal work there, and they have a gospel choir that goes all over the world. Rob, they're phenomenal. But not just Wiley College. We have Dillard University down in New Orleans, Louisiana.
Yeah.
That is doing some of the same work, doing great work where you have graduates who are published, who are leading in many different fields, but their pre-law program is one that is second to none. And then I'd also like to mention Edward Waters University, which is another institution. All three of these institutions are private and church affiliated institutions, but there are some public HBCUs that aren't as widely known, nationally known as well, like the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff, which has one of the few PhDs in aquaculture in the country. These institutions are making a difference.
Yeah, I totally agree. Exceptional schools, varied in the different degrees where they continue to excel and lead so many students. And again, just going through this book again, and I was close to as you were writing it and the team was collecting data for it, such a superlative work because of its detail in highlighting those programs that you know and know well, but again, for other students trying to find that fit academically, campus culture, financial aid, career services, and you hit on each of them in the book. I'll leave you with this question, Braque. For those students that are just thinking about the college research process and are considering an HBCU, what advice do you have for them? A couple of points that they should be thinking, right now about their college research.
Sure. Outside of purchasing the ultimate guide to HBCUs, I think the first piece is to search internally to identify what you're looking for in an institution. What do you want? Do I want a big school? Do I want a small school? Do I want a school that's close to home or far from home? Yeah. Do I want a school that is more liberal arts, or do I want a school that's more research intensive? I think once you figure those things, then I would look at the graduates of those institutions. How has this institution worked with students like me? And personally, my story, Rob, is that I grew up in a single parent household in rural Mississippi. And so does this institution have a history of working with students from situations like mine? Yeah. Does it? And so I think you have to be do an internal search there to find that. And I think the third piece is support. And I think you'll find that at all of our institutions, but even though you'll find the support, the community may look a little different from institution to institution. So finding a community that you're comfortable in, but I'm confident that regardless of which HBCU you choose, you'll find academic rigor there that will prepare you to compete with anyone in the world.
I love it. Those 3 points, I think students through their college research are going to be able to identify with. And Braque, every time that I talk to you, there's this contagious energy that comes across from you with this idea of building community that you were a part of, in your undergraduate HBCU, but then of course throughout your graduate work. I know that message will resonate with students, across high schools that are considering HBCUs and otherwise. So this is wonderful, folks. It is, again, folks. I want to thank you all for taking the time to listen to this quick conversation with Dr. Braque Talley. Folks that are familiar with our YouTube presence at Princeton Review, you know that on the info card right below, there's lots of information, certainly where you can purchase the book, lots of information on our website. If you have a question for Dr. Talley over the next weeks or months, slug it into the chat, and then we will do our best for Dr. Talley to answer them. But Braque, thank you so much for your time. We'll leave it at that, and I'll see you soon, my friend.
Thank you, Rob.
Take care.